Hi everyone. Hi Deborah. Hi Chartel. Hope you're doing well. Just trying to get a bit set up where I am at the moment. Bear with me. Okay, I need my other charger. Just going to get my other power bank. Hope you're doing really well, everyone. I thought I'd come on again. Just wait for the numbers to go up a little bit. Because of some of the evidence that I found today was actually triggered by somebody else. So thank you so much to that person. You know who you are. And it's led to some potentially very, very relevant evidence in all of this. So I just thought I'd come on and share it. I haven't had a chance to do the videos that I was hoping to do today. I haven't had a chance to send any emails, so I do apologise. I'll be trying to work on that tomorrow, getting the document out, and I'm going to try and get this latest evidence into this document as I'm sending out to new people, which means obviously some of you won't have the extra bits of evidence that I'm talking about tonight and last night. I'm going to give my email address in a minute for anyone that hasn't already got it and who hasn't already emailed me for the document. So if you want to get a pen, please go and do so, and I'll give that out in a moment. I'm just going to load the screenshots up I've taken. Screenshots. So I've got a bit of a runny nose actually. It's been very, very cold, and I've had an interesting day. I won't go into it, but yeah, it's been an interesting day for me, that's for sure. Not as interesting as some of the other stuff that's happened, but so my email address, for those of you that haven't got it, is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com, or you've got the Proton one, which is GaryTimeForFreedom@proton.me. Now, I said that wrong a couple of days ago. I do apologise. So it's Gary Time for Freedom, the word for FOR freedom, at proton.me. I was forgetting part of that the other day, so I do apologise. Just one more time for you. The first email is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com, which is 1R, and then Gary Time for Freedom at proton.me. If you haven't already emailed me, you need to email me to get this document. Now, the document's not perfect. I think I've got like a format of how I put it potentially ran the wrong way. So what I've done is I've put my contact details at the top. I've then put a list of the contents, and then the summary after that. So somebody's got the document and they've said, well, it doesn't make sense. We've just got a load of info, and they've said there's no summary, but there is. So the summary is below the list of contents. So it might be that I've done that wrong. And how I've done it is, I'm sure it's not the best way to do it, but it is still the most important document on earth, quite literally. So what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight is some more evidence in relation to halal. Now, if you was on with me last night, you would have heard that we found a company called Halal Limited that links to international world leaders. Not only that, it links to Fleming Co. Limited, which is obviously linking to the Flemings that initiated my removal from Exmoor Manor. And all of these organisations around this area, the main key ones, so Fleming Co Limited and the Formations Company.com, they're in the process of striking them from the register and trying to get rid of them. So they're obviously worried about that. And also some of the other companies as well are being struck from the register around the research of the world leaders. Now, of course, that throws a very interesting question. Why have you got the heads of the three Abrahamic faiths, or countries that generally represent those Abrahamic faiths, i.e. Donald Trump, supposedly Christian or whatever his faith is? And I think he said he isn't Christian at some point, but a lot of people believe he is. So it's a little bit, and I think this is why he's not committing himself to a particular faith, because he wants to leave that door open as to see how things move forward with all of this exposure potentially. You've got Benjamin Netanyahu linking into that same company, which is obviously Judaism. And then you've got the leader of Iran links to that same organization, and other world leaders. So they're all linked into halal, which obviously relates to the Muslim faith and the draining of blood from animals in their dietary requirements. So this is really critical, and I'm going to show you some more information about halal in a minute. I'm just trying to get it in my document. on my other device, and I really want to talk about the relevance of the monarchy, the monarch butterfly in all of this. It's really quite incredible. And again, thank you so much to the person that has been contacting me in relation to that, which has prompted me to find this evidence that I'm going to be talking to you about. Now, I might have to put my phone down, trying to open my other device on with one hand. Okay. So let's get to very runny nose. If you were with me last night, you'll know that we also found a connection, it's one letter difference, to the Holy Communion, the name for the Holy Communion for Christianity, which links into the crimes against children as well. All connecting together, everybody. Now this suggests, where we know for a fact, it's obvious that every faith group has been compromised by the fraud and, it appears, the blood of the children. We also have to think that maybe some elements of those three faiths have been staged as a deception to cover the blood of the children, because all three of those faiths have a blood ritual element to them, the three main Abrahamic faiths, and of course other religious beliefs and occult beliefs also have a blood element to them. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've locked my phone again. My hands are very cold as well because I'm outside at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to read this whilst I wipe my runny nose, and then I'm going to come to some questions afterwards. Hi, Adian. Adian, I hope you're doing okay. Thank you very much for joining me. Glad you got the document, Boogeyman. It's not perfect, but it's as good as I can do it at the moment. It's a working document. Please save it offline straight away and send it to absolutely everyone. And there'll be a slightly updated one with this evidence that we're talking about going out as well. Now, before I go into the monarchy, and shall I do this quickly? I'll do it because it's on the screen. Somebody has suggested I potentially look at Sue Ryder. So I'm just going to read you the evidence in relation to Sue Ryder. If you're not aware, they're a charity. Sue Ryder had previously been linked directly via my research to an organisation called Kent Catholic Schools Partnership, okay, which makes an immediate connection to the potential falsified prophecy element in the religious establishments. And Kent is obviously very, very relevant to me. And I just came across that in the research of, critically, Peter Mandelson, CERN, and the McSweeney scandal. If you're not aware, then I can't remember his first name, but one of Keir Starmer's top aides, I can't remember his exact position, also resigned. I believe he resigned or stepped back from that role, got moved. I can't remember because I haven't got that specifically in front of me. McSweeney. It all links into the Mandelson, Jeffrey Epstein side of things. So this was from that research that I established the Sue Ryder connection. And it links into, from the Mandelson, Jeffrey Epstein evidence, into CERN, so the collider technology, and into the apparent abuse, torture and blood of children again, and the murder of children via the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry and Ricky Dearman, which links very, very quickly to Peter Mandelson. And if you'll remember, I told you that John Wedger, when I spoke to him, is linked to it, and he just started praying when I started speaking to him. In March 2025, so literally in the last couple of days, a contact explained that their mother had died 5 years after having a blood transfusion and being taken into the care of Sue Ryder. So this prompted me to research Sue Ryder a little bit more today. Research shows that Sue Ryder is a British palliative and bereavement support charity based in the United Kingdom, formed as the Sue Ryder Formation in 1953. Remember, that's the same year that the Queen was coronated and the same year that the MK Ultra program began, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. Foundation in 1953 by World War II Special Operations Executive Volunteer Sue Ryder. The organisation provides care and support for people living with terminal illnesses and neurological conditions, as well as individuals who are coping with a bereavement. The charity, my phone keeps timing out. It's not locked though, luckily. My hand's very cold holding my phone. and coping with bereavement. The charity was renamed Sue Ryder Care in 1996 before adopting its current name in 2011. Well, 2011 is the year of the Christchurch earthquake and when Jimmy Savile died, which is all very, very significant all the way through the research. Okay, company sales shows that Sue Ryder was incorporated as the Sue Ryder Foundation Limited in brackets which means it's a criminal organisation, in 1968, this particular company. This is the year before Charles became the Prince of Wales. Its name was last changed on the 10th of February 2011, 12 days before the Christchurch earthquake. It has a forged register, meaning it should never have been trading since that forgery took place of the register. Heather Josephine Anderson connects Sue Ryder to 5 companies, including the Football Supporters Association, making important connections to the football industry, which is so important in all of this. They also connect to the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising, in brackets pre-charter, that have been incorporated in 1927. So quite an old company. It also has a forged register. It's a criminal organisation. Zail Al-Zaidi, a lot of these names will probably be made up, connects the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising pre-charter to 12 companies, including Jam Films Limited. And Mark Amit of this company, how do I stop it? Mark Amit Robinson, connects this company to Jam Films EOT Limited and to Massmark Limited, making important immediate connections to the sex industry and Exbourne Manor, where my investigation began via Pornhub Limited, as shown elsewhere. If you're not aware of what Pornhub is, it's one of the world's, if not the world's, biggest pornography sites that was started in, I can't remember actually, I know OnlyFans was started in 2016. Pornhub was started in 2007. So the same year that Madeleine McCann went missing and the same year that Exbourne Manor began. And of course, this is a way of leading us into the falsified tribulation situation by enticing people in through pornography into escalatory, degrading pornography involving women and children, okay, leading into this prophetic conclusion that I'm talking about in all of this. Referring back to the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising, by the way, through the Pornhub research, not only do you hit Exbourne Manor, the accountant of Exbourne Manor, via the Finchley Road address, you also hit, well, I won't say hundreds, but many of formation companies that are used throughout the criminal network. Okay, so what they're doing is they're trying to hide behind criminal formations companies that they use to incorporate and form the companies. Okay, and there's loads of them around the Pornhub research, all of the main ones. So this is you know, I'm trying to explain to you why it's all linking in with the Vatican and the falsified prophecies. And if we don't resolve this, then the ultimate end game, by a very select few, appears to be to end everything, all of creation, according to the research that I've got. Within the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising Pre-Charter, Stephanie Asher is in the people record and connects to various companies that I suspect relate to various red companies. So literally I've got the word red in it, that I suspect relate to blood. And also they connect to the Queen's Club Limited, that is shown in the research of organ harvesting, criminal organ harvesting, linking into the medical industries, and the research of Kenneth Noy, which links into major areas of the international government fraud and the apparent blood of children being hidden through the horse and bloodstock trade. Kenneth Noy is obviously the guy that was supposedly convicted of an M25 murder, of road rage. He's massively linked into this, okay? And he links into the Freemasons. He was a Freemason. He was actually a Freemason. And when he got convicted, the Freemasons tried to cover it up. So they stopped him being a Freemason, gave another reason for it. But he's massively linked into this, massively. Okay, Karen Jane Buchanan connects practice. In fact, I don't believe he ever went to prison. Karen Jane Buchanan connects practitioners in advertising pre-charter to 4 companies, including McCann Manchester Limited. that had already been featured in the research of Lucy Letby, okay, who was alleged to have killed several babies within I think it was the Countess of Chester. I could have that right. I've got it written down somewhere. You'll know. Some of you will know. And that's coming in from the doctors that instigated her prosecution, that instigated the investigation, okay, into those deaths. And from this McCann Manchester company, it links to Madeleine McCann's parents via the research. Now, if Lucy Letby is a real person, we've got to consider the deception, all of this. It's very obvious that if what they're saying is true, that she has been convicted, then they are setting her up. And these babies very likely died, I believe, based on the evidence, due to the blood being taken from the children. They probably tried taking blood from them, took too much, and it caused the babies to die. That's one possibility with those babies. But the blood is the key to all of this, everyone. Thomas and we're going to get to a little bit more how that links in with the monarchy butterfly, believe it or not, in a minute. Thomas Frankie Needham Knox connects the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising to 13 companies, including the Close Film Sale and Leaseback 2003/4 LLP, with these companies making critical connections throughout the criminal network, including to the intelligence agencies and the Satanic Temple United Kingdom. Remember, we're coming in from Sue Ryder here. Referring back to Sue Ryder, the actual Sue Ryder company, because we came one or two companies away from it, Polly Bishop connects to Queen Elizabeth's Foundation for Disabled People, that have been incorporated as Queen Elizabeth's Foundation for the Disabled in 1966, the year that the Church of Satan was founded. And its name was changed in 1992 for the only time, which is when the Companies House Register started to become electronic and when the Catholic Church became a legal entity. Where was that? Yeah. Leading to the exposure, interestingly. It could be that the Vatican was somehow, one of the things I was thinking today is, have you got some good people, well, you're bound to have some good people, in the religious establishments that have somehow infiltrated the Companies House Register, somehow created an element of the forgery for somebody that they knew was going to be the right person to expose the crimes and the potential destruction of the church. That's one thing I'm thinking about, because of the timing of the Catholic Church becoming a legal entity and the Companies House Register started to become electronic that year. Well, that's the same year that, it's the year after David Icke came out and said the world will be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. But that is how I've identified the fraud. Okay, if they hadn't created the electronic register, and therefore the public's ability to look at that electronic register online and see a discrepancy with the register and the documents, I wouldn't have identified this. I would not have been able to identify this. Could that have been done deliberately by someone within the church? Possibly. Anyway, let's moving on. Well, somehow there was, I'm not saying it is, but. So we got this connection to Queen Elizabeth Foundation for Disabled People. And it is shown as being in the process of administration, okay, even though it's 1966. So obviously my exposure is causing them, like so many companies, to shut them down and put them in administration, or put them into a state of liquidation. It has FRP advisory trading in its registered address, which means it links to the fraud. I suspect that they have been targeting disabled people and disabled children in relation to their crimes more than, well, not necessarily more, but potentially targeting them when they can more, because they are less likely to expose the criminal network and the crimes that they're involved in. They're obviously more vulnerable, the disabled people and the disabled children specifically. Keith Gordon Cameron connects Sue Ryder to 22 companies, including, it's really annoying, my phone just keeps going off, including Ince Group PLC, that had been incorporated in 1999, and its name was changed in August 2019, when its name was Gordon Dad's Group PLC. This is the month when cell towers were erected in Wuhan and Jeffrey Epstein apparently died. Ince companies connect quickly to the research of P. Diddy and the child trafficking investigation, and also to Michael Hart, who I suspect is Aisha Hart's husband, former husband from God FM. Connects to Michael Hart. Where was I with that? And to BT and other companies in relation to the potential threat from directed energy, and the international also connects to the International Crisis Group, which is stemming from the Iranian conflict deception evidence that I carried out, and the research of the cloning and human fertilizations evidence. Got a spider on me. Okay, so that was that evidence I just wanted to share in relation to Sue Ryder, and we're going to be talking about the monarch butterfly now, actually, and then I'll do the halal evidence afterwards. So, the King's portrait was released on the 14th, or unveiled on the 14th of May 2024. This is as I am continuing my exposure, and I didn't realise that it had been unveiled that day until later. But on that very day is when I released the evidence linking to the threat of directed energy and the Royal Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, the exact same day. Now, on that portrait, within it, there was an inverted image of a Baphomet, which is the Church of Satan. It was over on the bottom right-hand corner of the portrait. But also there was a butterfly, a monarch butterfly in that picture. No other animal within the picture. So we're going to have a look at why this potentially becomes relevant if my hands are not too numb. Now remember, the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated within 2 weeks of me becoming a director at Exbourne Manor. And it links through the companies on its incorporation document to my upbringing. Okay, via my friends that I grew up with, to their wives, linking into religious establishments, and it connects also through into a monks organisation, which ties in with an island off the coast of Tenby. And my nan was married in Tenby. My nan was actually born in Pembrokeshire in Wales and then married in Tenby. Anyway, that's another bit of information in the research. So monarch butterflies, what are they? Well, they are a powerful symbol of transformation, hope and resilience, largely due to their dramatic metamorphosis and long-distance immigration. They are revered by many cultures, particularly in Mexico, as spiritual messengers representing the souls of the departed loved ones returning for the day of the dead. The name monarch is believed to have been given in honour of King William III of England, as the butterfly's main colour is that of the King's secondary title, Prince of Orange. In relation to the butterflies, the Eastern North American monarch population is notable for its annual southward late summer autumn instinctive migration from the northern and central United States and southern Canada to Florida and Mexico during the fall migration. Monarchs cover thousands of miles. During the fall migration, monarchs cover thousands of miles, with corresponding multi-generational return, a return north in spring. Now, this actually is very, very interesting. I only read this today, and I remember being awestruck by a documentary that I saw about the butterflies. And basically, what they do is, as it's just said there, but it's incredible. So they emigrate across the United States, die in different stages, heading south. They die, obviously. New generations are created and born, and then go to whatever. It's not born, is it? But whatever is born, I suppose. I don't know what you call it, but butterflies. But silly question. And this happens several generations heading south. Okay, and then that last generation finds its way back up to the not only the same area, same part of America, but the exact same valley. Now that is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Now, is that somehow going to lead to some element of reincarnation in this deception, and how relevant the monarch butterfly is? I don't know. But that is pretty amazing when you think about it. So the word monarchy, actual monarchy, because obviously I tried to establish, well, are there any other connections to the royalty and the monarch butterfly? So I looked at the word monarchy. Originates from the Greek word similar to that, which is derived from monos and archime. It entered English via the Old French monarchy and late, or lail. Can't really see what that says. So other than the King Edward III connection, there doesn't seem to be a particular relevant connections to the name monarch for the butterfly and the royal family. So they've chosen that for an interesting, it could be obviously because of the King Edward III connection that I mentioned at the beginning. Obviously that was a red painting, very satanic looking. Anyway, oh, there's a little bit more that I need to read here. Reading on from the meaning, and late Latin, around the mid 14th century, initially referring to a territory ruled by a single person. Okay, so this is the word monarchy. Now, what do they tell us now? I'm not suggesting it is Satan. I'm not suggesting King Charles is Satan. But obviously, Scripture has said that there will be one entity ruling the world before whatever is going to happen in all of this. And this means a single person being a ruler. Is that why they put the monarch in the painting? A monarchy is a hereditary form of government, this is from Wikipedia, in which political power is legally passed on to the family members of the monarch, a head of state who rules for life, while monarchs gain their power depending on specific succession laws. They can also gain their authority from election. The butterfly connection becomes relevant to Jeffrey Epstein, as I've mentioned in the last couple of nights, because of the butterfly trust that he supposedly set up, or a bank link that he set up in relation to that trust 2 days, I think it was 2 days before his death. Okay, and then going into that butterfly trust, it then went into the bloodline connections and the hereditary family connections and different interlinked families, going right back to the Reformation, including Clintons, Fitzroys and others in America, and also in the United Kingdom, and also tying into I think it was the Dutch royal family as well. And this could explain why the Ninth Circle evidence, I'm pretty sure, I know it refers to the British royal family and the Vatican, but I'm pretty sure it mentions the Dutch royal family as well being involved in the hunting of children under the Ninth Circle. And remember, the evidence from the Ninth Circle that I researched, interlinked with a dream that I had, led to the control panel of the CERN Large Hadron Collider, which appears to be a threat to all of creation. The butterfly connection is very, very important in all of this. Today, or in the last couple of days, someone informed me of Operation Monarch. And what prompted them to inform me is that last night, when I was talking about my butterfly evidence, as I was talking about it, they saw a butterfly, a fake butterfly on the floor by their feet, as I was talking about the butterflies. There's also some other relevance to butterflies to this person as well. So they contacted me and they suggested that I potentially need to look at the Monarch operation in relation to MK Ultra. So I have, and this is what I found. Now, before I go into it, when I was researching MK Ultra, a company called MK Limited had a former name linking to Medway, the area where I was born. When I went into this company, this is where I found a connection to my former school called the Thomas Aveling School in Arethusa Road in Rochester. And that was via a Masonic company, and then several, two at least, Waterman companies. And on the address for that Waterman, it was a Waterman offshore company, you had a link to a 13th century Knights Templar building. When you went in from that Waterman company, very quickly you hit Olympic Games companies, and then you hit David Beckham, which creates another connection to Jeffrey Epstein via this. So we're going to look at Operation Monarch. When I searched it, it reveals that Catherine O'Brien, who was born in 1957, is an American author who claims to have been a victim of a government mind control program called Project Monarch, which she alleges was part of the CIA's Project MKUltra. O'Brien made these assertions in Transformation of America in 1995 and Access Denied for Reasons of National Security in 2004, both of which she co-authored and self-published with her husband, Mark Phillips. According to scholars, there is no credible evidence of O'Brien's claims, and there are numerous inconsistencies in her story. O'Brien had claimed that Project Monarch, can't read that last bit unfortunately, I haven't done a very good screenshot there. What did that say? O'Brien had claimed that Project Monarch something. Oh, sorry, I've missed the last little bits of word. Never mind. A search for Operation Monarch reveals. Oh, here it is. Sorry. O'Brien has. I retook the screenshot because I realised I missed a bit at the bottom. O'Brien has claimed that Project Monarch caused her to develop dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. But during alternate personality episodes, she has photographic recall. O'Brien's Transformations of America had been credited as originating one of the most significant and extreme mind control conspiracy theories, and her claims of links between satanic ritual abuse and MKUltra have influenced popular conspiracy cultures. A company's house search shows that Catherine Coggins O'Brien, born in 1959, which is 2 years difference to the date of birth. So we have to consider it could be this Catherine, and let's look where it leads, and I suspect it is going to be. Connects to 4 companies, including Pearson in Practice Skills Based Learning Limited. So let me just read that again. Pearson in Practice Skills Based Learning Limited, that had been incorporated in 1999, and it dissolved on the 15th of April 2019, 4 days after Julian Assange's arrest, which is so relevant to absolutely everything that I'm exposing. Remember, he links to the Doomsday Cult and to the Chief Police Officers of the United Kingdom via the research, and to Deborah Fleming, who initiated my removal via the research of his father, and straight to my father-in-law's financial advisor, literally straight away. This company has A1 company services and 788 to 790 Finchley Road on its incorporation document, making an immediate connection to Carter and Coley, the accountant for Exbourne Manor, and to major areas of the criminal network. I suspect that this Pearson within this company, this Pearson name, relates to the Pearsons who were associates of the Krays, as shown elsewhere in the document. And my family had association to the Kray twins. There are international Pearson companies connected through the directors of this company, and James Daniel Marshall connects the company to 38 companies, including various Pearson and theatre companies, and to motor neuron disease sales in brackets limited, and to a company called Motor Neuron Disease Association that was incorporated in 1986. Just in case you don't know what it is, which I wasn't 100% sure what motor neuron disease is, research shows that amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as motor neuron disease, or Lou Gehrig's disease, is a rare terminal neurodegenerative disease defined by the progressive loss of both upper and lower motor neurons that normally control voluntary muscle contractions. ALS, screened out, is the most common of the motor neuron diseases. Alan Philip Graham is in the People record and connects motor neuron diseases to 80 companies, including Mason Charitable Foundation, which is the Freemasons, and many Rothschild's companies as well, making major connections to the centralized criminal network and the blood of the innocents. Now that tells us that if that is Kathy O'Brien, which I think it could be, they've just used her name and set it up, it's possible that they're somehow using a deception through the MK Ultra program to hide the experimental experiments in relation to the blood of the children and how the blood links in with all of this. It's possible they've hidden that through the MK Ultra program or alongside the MK Ultra program, and possibly Catherine was positioned to divert away from the real issue and everything. Possibly, we have to consider that. Or they used her name to try and discredit her. So I believe she's still alive. So Kathy, is it Kathy? You need to get in contact with me, please, as soon as you can if you see this video. Was it Kathy? Just going to make sense. Yeah, Kathy O'Brien. A search for Operation Monarch Company's house through Google reveals Monarch Limited, that had been incorporated in 2003 and dissolved on the 27th of August 2024, the month after I started publicising the link to the fraud and adrenochrome, the blood of tortured children. It has Dorothy May Graham, David Andrew Graham, and Graham and Company on its incorporation document, as well as an address of 61 Fairview, Wigmore, Gillingham, Kent, all on its incorporation document. The Dorothy Graham name and Graham and Company, this company, and the other name on there, make important connections throughout the criminal network. This includes to the Las Vegas shooting in 2017 via the US Defense Contract Audit Agency, in which the supposed shooter in that event had previously worked for. And they obviously audit the finances in relation to the defense contracts for the US. And it links to the venue of the attack as well, which was a live nation connection to that event that took place during that shooting, the biggest mass shooting in the history of the United States. It connects to the research of my former colleague and friend, Guy Briscoe, who I believe was positioned alongside me, and he links to the research of the Doctor serial killer Harold Shipman, as I said last night. So it all links into what I was talking about last night as well. And to the blood of the children via Ricky Dearman, via my friend Guy Briscoe. Where was I? Yep, via Ricky Dearman. Companies located near Exbourne Manor. Via this, we're talking about this company. In the research of the infiltration of the royal family and Ritson's, which was the solicitor that I attended in Inverness to try and prevent the fraud, to the death of George Floyd, and quickly to bloodstock companies via the death of George Floyd. In other words, the ability to hide the blood of the children into the bloodstock trade, which relates to the horse trade. It also connects to a Collider company from the research of Andrew McFarlane, the head of the family courts. And again, remember, we mentioned Andrew McFarlane last night, I believe, coming in from another angle. So the head of the family courts, given the ability through the forgery and forged documents through the courts to steal children from people that they have deliberately made disadvantaged, and because they're behind the alcohol, they're behind the mental health problems, they're behind the drugs. So, of course, that means that people that become subjected to being victims of alcohol and drugs, it creates problems within the family. The police then have the ability and social services to intervene and take children away from those families. All deliberate, everybody, and tying in to the blood in all of this. It also connects to, where are we? To my staged arrest and a fraudulent court case against me. To Jack Kidd, who is, can't remember her first name, but Jodie Kidd is it? Her brother, linking directly via Jack Kidd to Ghislaine Maxwell. This is all connecting to that Monarch company immediately. We also have a connection to the Iona prophecy in relation to the end of the world and the Iona island off the coast of Scotland via that same company. Linking to the Satanic Temple, United Kingdom, again, and to the intelligence agencies, and to the research of Operation Monarch, because I've added it, because obviously I'm talking about Operation Monarch. As shown elsewhere, the address of 61 Fairview, Wigmore, Gillingham, Kent, is close to my mother's address, who makes major connections to the international government fraud and to the NHS, and therefore Deborah Fleming via her employer, Brian Beaton, who had a company called Barron Medical Limited. Russell Ian Argo connects Monarch Limited to 25 companies, many of which are chemical companies, including Monarch Chemicals Limited and various Brenntag companies. Brenntag SE is the holding company of Brenntag Group. The company was founded in 1874 in Berlin, obviously a German connection, and is involved in the distribution of chemicals and ingredients. The company is headquartered in Essen, Germany, and has operations in more than 600 locations in 72 companies. Brenntag was founded on October the 9th, 1874 in Berlin by the Jewish merchant Philip Musam. So we have a link to Judaism, or an infiltration of Judaism potentially, because all three faith groups have been infiltrated by the blood of the children. At first, the company Philip Musam was an agricultural wholesale business whose most successful product was eggs. Interesting, someone's mentioned eggs today on the research on my previous videos from the last couple of days. In 1879 this was. He entered the trade of pharmaceuticals pharmaceutical raw materials and so-called drugs. By 1881, according to the sources, the company was distributing chemicals, dyes, drugs, and also agricultural products, though the latter only in small quantities. On the 8th of October 2024, I had been parked outside a water treatment plant in Fort Angus, Scotland, when I saw a Brenntag lorry enter that location, and I took photographs. So this is a chemical company going into the water supply for the Scottish people. And I believe they were poisoning the water, and I believe they are still poisoning the water. And I believe the reasons they are poisoning the water, the air, and the food is to get you to go into hospital so they steal your blood. That is what I believe this is all about, to then extend their lives. And you're going to see why, where this leads. It's pretty amazing where this leads. Brenntag UK and Ireland Limited, the company, have been incorporated in July 2001 in the lead up to the World Trade Center deception, and have been a criminal company, having been incorporated with Jordan's Limited, making a direct connection to Exbourne Manor, where my investigation began. Brenntag Inorganic Chemicals Limited had been incorporated. I didn't put the year, missed the year there. Mark Day connects this company to 102 companies, including Venice Spareco Limited, that had already been connected to producer Steve Knight recently, and he recently released a film adaptation of Peaky Blinders called Immortal Man. Okay, So this is a direct connection to him. Steve Knight, the director for Peaky Blinders, Immortal Man, that has just been released in the last 2 or 3 weeks on Netflix, I believe. Also, he has been named as the next producer, I think, or director for the James Bond movie, which means a direct link to the Flemings, okay, via the James Bond movies. Because remember, Ian Fleming wrote the James Bond movies. Now that, I think, is a massive sign in all of this. And I think what they have been aiming for is immortality using the blood of the innocents. And I think this has been a plan for a very, very long time, where they literally have no faith. They are so scared of dying, complete and utter cowards, that they have decided to use the experimentation, to use the centralized criminal network that they are partaking in to steal the blood from the innocents, from the masses, for the select few, making them ill using poisons, radiation, cell towers, sky spraying, cloud spraying, so that they go into the hospitals and then the blood can be taken. I believe they have deliberately caused cancer, so that people with cancer generally have to have full body transfusions in quite a lot of instances, giving the ability to them to steal the entire blood from that body and use that blood for the rich and those that are, I won't say privileged, because they are completely lost in this. And I believe from the evidence they have been transfusing people's body with the blood drained from animals using the halal Muslim faith deception, and putting that animal blood, which may well have been refined to the extent where it keeps people alive for long enough where it doesn't draw too much attention. But of course the body will ultimately reject the blood from an animal, but they may have found a way to refine it to an extent where they don't die straight away. People last for a while after that transfusion. This is what I believe this is all about. And I believe that immortality, it's the ultimate mockery to the creator, all right? Because it means that we obviously, or whoever is behind all of this, fears death to such an extent that they are determined to go to the absolute unimaginable lengths to try and achieve that. Now, when I say immortality, I mean they will not die, certainly not die as young as those that are being poisoned by them and being used as harvest and being used as being exploited and victimized, which is most people. Okay, you're talking about a select few in all of this. This explains why the lead paint is so important in this, where they enabled an exclusion from the banning of lead paint for the grade 1 and grade 2 listed buildings, where generally those at the head of all of this are living, meaning they won't be affected by the radiation from the cell towers and the other technology that they have in place to cause the illness, to then get the blood, steal the blood from everybody. Now, it could be very well likely that the COVID situation killed more people than they wanted, and they potentially the technology was too strong that they were trying to use. This is what I suspect. Based on all of my evidence. And of course, it gave the ability for the injections to take place and for the illnesses again to lead to the blood being taken from humanity. Now, this will link in, I believe, and it is linking in now, to the meningitis outbreak in Kent over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which obviously gives them the ability to take the blood from the younger people in this, because it's generally, meningitis is generally younger people that will be affected by meningitis. So that, I don't think that's a coincidence. When you look at the chain of that information getting to me, the butterfly on the floor, the monarch connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein's linked to Exmoor Manor. The monarch butterfly in the painting. The fact that it led to Brentag, where I'd seen the Brentag lorry and already publicised that document when that happened. And it led to Immortal Man, linking to James Bond and the Flemings and these organisations that we've been talking about. But we'll carry on. So Mark Day, that same director that made that connection, also links to various hotel companies, including De Vere, which also becomes relevant in the research of the Irish Republican Army, IRA, and the Birmingham 6 deception research that I've conducted, and appears to connect to evidence of the possible hunting of children on estates. And the island connection is very important because they didn't ban fox hunting in Northern Ireland. Various directors connect Brenntag Inorganic Chemicals Limited to FCC companies. Probably will be relating to the Future Circular Collider program, which links to the collider technology, but also what they have done is created another organization called the Federal Communication Commission, which is also FCC, and that organization relates to cell towers. Okay, this gives them the ability to hide and launder the money in relation to their plan against humanity through different organizations via the acronyms. Okay, so you have those two organizations, the Future Circular Collider program and the Federal Communications Commission, both FCC. Now, a search for Papillon. Remember, I don't know if some of you would have seen my live in the, last night or the night before, and I explained that it was my dad's favourite movie, and I don't think this is a coincidence. And Papillon is French for butterfly, and it was released in 1973, the same year that Soylent Green was released, which relates to an innocent police officer in 2022 uncovering a dystopian future involving corporations potentially putting food of remains of humans into the food chain. Well, that's the year that obviously I investigated this. And the Papillon is as I've said, is a butterfly. And when I searched a connection through from research that I did after that in my document, I tried to cross-reference my document, and it led straight to the director of the Soylent Green movie, and that wasn't anything to do with Soylent Green. It was a completely different bit of element of research that I was conducting, and it led to the only name in my 1,500-page document at the time who happened to be the producer of that movie, Soylent Green. It's not a coincidence, everybody. Okay, Ace Registrars Limited is in the people record for this company that we're talking about here. Oh, sorry, missed the first bit. A search for Papillon, that name for butterfly, reveals Papillon Limited that had been incorporated in 1997, the same year that Princess Diana died and the founder of the Church of Satan. Ace Registrars Limited is in the people record and connects Papillon Limited to 506 companies, including Pegasus, in brackets, Worldwide Limited, that had been incorporated in 2002 after the World Trade Center disaster, and it dissolved in May 2022, which is as I'm escalating my inquiries at Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. It has an address of Ocean Way, Southampton in Hampshire, where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS chief executive that initiated my removal from Exbourne Manor for refusing to file forged bank documents. Remember, the NHS is important, given the ability for them to steal the blood from people. And this is why I believe Diana Betts, D4, Exbourne Manor, top 4 flat, is an NHS phlebotomist. She was the one that tried to remove me from the company, first of all, and she was the one involved on the incorporation document and creating Exbourne Manor when it first was created in 2007. And the other person on that incorporation document is Anthony De Rea. And De Rea name links to the Vatican, everybody, okay? And it links, therefore, to the Doomsday Cult. And that was established via the research of the death of Jill Dando. Now, Pegasus is important because Pegasus is the organization linking to Israel. So we have a connection, it seems here, to Israel via this research again. And of course, it will be an infiltration of the Judaism faith. Okay, this is not about Judaism. It's not about Muslims. It's not about the Christians. It's a very sinister group of people that have infiltrated, linking to the Freemasons. You know, if I was to say who needs to be arrested now, all Freemasons need to be arrested. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming that the Freemasons are massively implicated in all of this. All right, a secret society linked into the police and the organisations, the NHS, etc. And they appear to have a blood oath where they are not able to speak out. So I say again to these people behind this criminal network, if you're not going to speak out about this and assist me in changing this and saving humanity, then please take your lives. All right, because you are a risk to creation, to babies, to children. And if we have to choose between one or the other, then we will choose saving the babies and the children, and of course creation, which would involve you anyway. So please take your lives. If you cannot speak out about this, take your lives as soon as possible. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that easily. It's something I've thought about a lot. Many of you probably are, because you're not able to speak out about this, and the information is coming in that's telling me a lot of you are committing suicide. It's not what I want. I want you to come forward in the truth, which means I believe you will gain salvation from this. I know how difficult it will be for you to do that, but I believe you will be saved spiritually through that truth, through that repentance, and through a commitment and helping me to change this and put a system in place that's going to change the world forever and save the children and save creation. So please do that. I don't want you to be harmed. I don't want you to suffer. No matter what you've been doing, you need to be facilitating a change on earth. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to carry on, then again, please take your life and save the children and save the rest of humanity and creation. Reading on, not only does it connect to Southampton, okay, which is where NHS was, this company, but it also connects to the filing history shows that in 2021 it had an address of Begbie's Trainer. Well, Begbie's Trainer links to the Collider company immediately, a company called Colliders that was incorporated in 2003 or 2004, I can't remember, and it dissolved last year as I was starting to expose the evidence into the Colliders. That company links to my family's via a solicitor's firm called TG Baines, in Bexley Heath in Kent, near London. Okay, so we have an immediate connection to not only the Collider company, but we have a connection to JP Morgan, which means the Flemings, because when you look at Begbie Trainers, you'll see loads of JP Morgan companies straight away via the directors. Now, I'm just going to give this bit of evidence in relation to Halal. I wanted at the beginning. I've already mentioned Halal Limited last night, and we're now going to be talking another company that I've found called UK Halal Foods Limited. Now, this links into the Muslim faith by that name. UK Halal Foods Limited. It was incorporated in 2017 after the Pizzagate scandal became exposed and Donald Trump was positioned. It has Peter Valaitis and DuPont companies in its incorporation document, a name and company that is used throughout the fraud. DuPont makes connections to the centralized criminal network, including literally immediately, to a company called World Black Economic Forum Limited. Right, so obviously you know the World Economic Forum started in 1971. Well, this is World Black Economic Forum Limited, and I suspect that black was deliberately put there to represent the black nobility families linking in with the Vatican. It also connects to Julian Assange's mother, the research of Julian Assange's mother, which links obviously to the Doomsday Cult. It also links to my hands are very cold, to the research of Bill Maloney, who publicised the information of the Hort de la Garonne children's deaths on Jersey, which is interesting. Connects immediately to the research of Richard Moore, the former head of MI6, to Sarah Ferguson, to Blackpool Pleasure Beach and the apparent infiltration of the royals and the black nobility families via Peter Valaitis, the name, and Deborah Evershed and Jane Evershed, who links and affiliates to Sasha Stone, who connects to other information about the link to the black nobilities and the blood taken from tortured children. It also connects to the future circular collider research that I've just been mentioning. See how quickly this all links in? And to the research of Cyril Smith and an apparent crimes against children and a threat of directed energy via radar companies. It links to Ukraine, as all shown throughout my document. Now, that's all I'm going to give for evidence tonight because I'm very, very cold. So I'm just going to come to comments and questions. So if you've got anything, please let me know. I'm just going to go to the latest comments on here. God, my hand's so cold. Jake is a troll. Okay, oh, we've got problems from people on here, have we? I haven't been looking, sorry. Project Pegasus, yep, someone's put, it's very important, Pegasus in all of this. Spyware, Pegasus spyware is, according to the research, able to spy on all of your devices completely illegally. This involves the police, it involves the intelligence agencies, it involves your councillors, it involves your Prime Minister, it involves your heads of the police, the heads of the NHS, the heads of every government organisation are all involved in this. All of them, everybody. Gary, how are you managing to live in a forest so far? It's challenging. It's challenging, but I'm managing just about. But I'm getting very tired. You know, I'm 48 or 9 now, and you know, I had a moment of selfishness today where I was thinking, well, where is my life heading in this, and what's going to happen to me? And then I had to just put myself in check and just forget about that, and I have to focus on this. It is literally the most important thing ever, probably, quite literally. So I'm all right. I'm doing all right in the circumstances. A bit cold sometimes, a bit wet sometimes. I've still got a bit of money, but it looks as though they're going to try and shut me down financially. So I'll just have to cross that bridge when I come to it. I'm not paying any more money to them. I would, to be honest with you, as hard as it's going to be, lose everything than pay towards the blood of the children. So if they carry on, they may carry on and take everything from me. I'm in the process of sending emails proving why they're criminal with documents attached, and trying to share that everywhere and to the relevant people and make them know that the game's up, basically. Whether they're going to stop, it doesn't seem as though they are. They're desperate, it seems, to silence me with my evidence, because I'm really getting to the truth in all of this now. We're pretty much on the truth of everything now. The blood is the most important thing in this, and the collider technology. Most people will not know about the plan regarding the collider technology and what appears to be, from my evidence, the ultimate plan to end all of creation through that technology. That'll be a very select, small number of people at the head of this that will know about that plan as an ultimate inverted deception and against everybody, even those that are involved in the blood of the children, the abuse of children, the fraud, the murders, or whatever. They're all going to be victimized. So this is why this is absolutely critical, that absolutely everyone gets behind me, gets behind this evidence, no matter what part they've had to play in this, everybody. All right, because this is what the evidence suggests. It's Jake Clark. These two have been very suspicious since day one. Which two? Sorry. I'm only looking at the latest comments. I haven't been reading any, so forgive me. You are a troll, Leah. You're copying the other troll, so just grow up. I wonder how they track the blood. Anyone know? I must dig to find out. Well, there's going to be an element in the swabbing for the vaccines would have potentially enabled them to establish the right blood for them, potentially, or a certain type of DNA of the blood that they want, enabling them to then target people with illnesses. And of course, the directed energy evidence through the cell towers and the mobile phones, ironically, I have to use them, gives them the ability to probably be more selective on who they make ill through the technology, to then get them to be able to then take the blood from those specific people. I really do think we're on to the key in all of this, everyone. Of course, you can't, no matter how much none of us want to die, of course we don't, all right? We cannot be aiming for immortal lives, okay? We cannot. Look at it practically. If we all ended up living it forever, and we didn't die, we'd destroy all of creation through that anyway. All right. The key is the faith. The key is to have the faith, remove the fear of death. Okay. You remove the fear of death or reduce the fear of death, and you have faith by bringing back moral conscience in a rational state of mind. They have removed that deliberately via this system. Okay, through the drugs, through the alcohol, through the poisoning, through the making you work far more than you ever needed to make you tired. This makes you act in a way you would not normally act. That means you go against your moral conscience. All right, and you may say something to somebody else or do something more serious, whether you punch somebody in the street because you've had too much to drink or whatever. Okay, this is the system is designed, according to my research, to deliberately create that irrationality in your mind so that it separates you from the creator. It then creates fear. The more people have fear, the more likely they're going to be more likely they are going to take the blood of the children, okay, to try and live longer. It's cowardice. Cowards, ultimate cowards, pathetic. You cannot take and cause the blood and cause the suffering of children and the innocents just because you want to live longer. All right, and I believe they potentially have reached almost the point of immortalization in terms of, and they've probably done it quite a while ago, in being able to live. Obviously, they can still die, but you know, they wouldn't die of old age like most of us would, I believe. A lot of these people at the top of this. This is the key, everybody. This is it. We're literally on the nail on the head here with all of this. It fits all of the evidence that I've got. What was the other thing I was going to say? Is there anything else? Yeah, so I've said about the cell towers causing the ill effects and the other technology. It won't just be cell towers, it'll be your phones potentially they're using as well, as I've said, to be able to target specific individuals for their blood. I said about the blood transfusions and how cancer is so important to them. This is why they've never produced a cure for cancer, because they then lose the ability to full body transfusion using the blood drained from the animals, I suspect, as that transfusion, and then using the blood from the good blood from the body to extend the lives of others. And of course, it's worth vast amounts of money. Many people will pay vast amounts of money for the blood transfusions and to the other methods that they are using to extend these people's lives. And of course, the organ harvesting is a massive part of this, which is, I've done the evidence on that. It's within my document. You'll see it's 100% part of this, which is criminally stealing organs from people's bodies. And in fact, if you look at your driving license, if you have 515, I think the number, I can't remember, 115, maybe 115. If you've got on your driving license, it's an opt-out. They brought it in a couple of years ago, apparently, where if you've got that on your license, which most of you will, you automatically agree that you're going to give your organs. Now, that straight away gives a motive for the NHS, which are massively implicated in this, okay? This is why you've got so many doctors linked in with this. Madeleine McCann, okay? You've got Harold Shipman was a doctor. You've got the doctor of one of the Russell daughter in the murder. He links to the satanic cult, okay? Can't remember his first name, Russell. You've got, who's the other doctors that I found? Oh, I can't remember at the moment. Obviously, you got, oh, that's it. My wife's former employee was called Charles Sherwin. His wife was an oncology, which obviously links to cancer, oncology doctor at Southampton Hospital, and her husband Charles Sherwin links to Virgin Foundation companies, which links to the crimes against the children. Richard Branson has an island near to Jeffrey Epstein. You see it all links in. When you go in through that, you hit criminal United Nations companies that were set up with the same companies as Exmoor Manor. That means it ties into the international conflict deception, which now is almost certainly about the blood of the children and them stealing children from those conflicts and then using their blood in what I'm talking about. And I believe the missile that supposedly hit the building in Iran recently, where they were disputing whether it was an Iranian missile or a American one, I don't believe that ever happened. I believe that was special effects that they used to make it look like a rocket, and they stole the children from that school. That's what I suspect happened. And I think they've been doing that a lot. It provides the deception of the conflicts, okay, to make some of it not actually happening when it is, to give them the ability to take those children. And of course, for the likes of those people that are running this, which is England's a massive, obviously, part of this, and America, it's a lot better for them to do it through a third world country, or a country that's less fortunate than we are, and steal the children from those countries rather than stealing them through obviously they can't steal them through the conflicts here because there is no conflicts here, but they can steal them through the courts. So this gives them a way that they can steal lots of children using the conflicts in one go. And all world leaders are involved in this. This has gone back a very long time, everybody. So all world leaders are working collaboratively together in relation to the fraud and the blood of the children. And I suspect, as I've said, because I think they have worked out a way that they can make people live longer using that blood. Yeah, fluoride in your water as well, someone's put. Jake Clark just lurks in the shadows. He doesn't dare show himself. Today is the US. They moved a large nuke ship in the US. Kathleen Swift, it was a 5G tower Gary dismantled. Yeah, it was I think, I don't know, they've said it was a 4G tower. It was a tower that I disabled. It was a fairly small one, and I think I'm the only person in the world that's disabled one and put their face to it. And as I've said several times, it's very important, they've refused to interview me over it. I tried to instigate an investigation against me by, when I was in custody, saying that what I did multiple times, asking to be interviewed, and you would have to be interviewed for it to be a fair trial, and no interview ever took place. So because obviously what that meant is I would have just gone into that interview and exposed absolutely everything with the evidence proving it, and they knew that, so they had to avoid it. So that's why they didn't interview me, because it would have brought the entire world system down and it would have exposed everything. At that point, I didn't know the real key element in this, in the blood. I knew the blood was an element of everything in this, but I didn't realize why and how it ties into the three main Abrahamic faiths and how it links into the collider technology and everything else. But now we're pretty much there, everyone. We are pretty much there with the truth in all of this. I mean, that was it. Sean Russell, thank you very much, Derek. I'm very open to new evidence, and obviously my theories may change in this, but this is literally what ticks every single box with all of my evidence. It makes absolute sense with everything. You've even got articles talking about the blood being taken and them having the technology to almost make people immortal. All right, there's even articles talking about that now. All right, so they're trying to normalize it. We cannot allow them to normalize the blood being taken from the most innocent, the children in this. All right, we can't allow that to happen. We may as well literally destroy the earth now, because we cannot live in a world where that is allowed to take place. All right, I don't think that will happen. Now there may be people, this may be why you've got people within this are waiting and seeing what's happening, seeing what you're going to do about this, to decide if they end all of creation or not. They could be waiting to see if the people are going to be doing the right thing in this. And I've given you a strategy, I've given you the evidence, and now I urge you to do the right thing. The other thing I have to consider, and I don't think it's the case, but I have to consider it, because obviously all options need to be put on the table here, is absolutely everything a deception to bring about the right person, or to bring about the right people in all of this, to get them to come forward somehow for that person or those people to do something. Now, if that person is me, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If I'm being honest with you, the only thing I can think of is I try and make some arrests of people. The chances are they're just going to lock me up for a warrant and I'm never going to be seen again. That's what possibly, maybe not. Maybe that's what they're waiting for me to do. So I'm thinking every day about what I do and how I move forward in this. But we are literally right on the money, I believe, with everything that's going on. Vanessa, this different guy, I think he was an electrician or something. Palestine, Ukraine. They don't need conflict here in the UK. They've got social services. Yeah, absolutely. Social services is a massive part of it, stealing the children through the courts. But obviously, if they wanted to take a large amount of children in one go, then the conflicts would help that happen. If they, if they needed some large amount of blood supply for it, then the conflicts would help that. Now, this obviously creates a whole new theory around the school massacres. Did the school massacres really happen? Or were those children stolen from the school and they made it look like the children had died in a massacre? This is the sort of level of, different concept we have to think of now in this. It's very likely that is going to be the case. The Dunblane massacre evidence that I've done in my document is massive in this. It's absolutely critical in this. The other thing we now have to consider is a lot of people have been saying about they've been practicing lockdowns within schools, haven't they? All right, for quite a while now, practicing keeping kids in school. I'm sorry to say, you now have to consider, is that setting up the ability for them to take all of those children from that school and put them into the blood market and the child trafficking network? I'm sorry to say. So my advice is that none of you should be letting your children go into school at the moment, based on all of this. That would be my advice. And that will also apply pressure to the system in the right way. The physical document is safe with Vanessa. Now, fantastic. Thank you very much. Other people have also printed it. I've had several messages from people. They're printing the document. So that is fantastic. Who knows where this is all going to lead everybody for sure. But it's very important that document is not destroyed. Okay, we need everyone sharing it. I will be sending more emails out tomorrow. If you haven't got my email address, I will give it again in a minute, just in case you wasn't here at the beginning. So go and get a pen. George Farmer, Bullingdon Club. Any info on Candice's husband? Oh, Candice's husband. Yes, he's in my document. Yeah, he's linked into this. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, he's in this. He links via, you got Turning Point, links to Charles Kirk and to him. And Turning Point links to Donald Trump. And actually, that was from the research of the Dunblane massacre. I found that link to Donald Trump via his golf course through the Dunblane massacre to Candace Owens and the area of research that I'd already done around Candace Owens. We are in the midst of a very heroic and biblical event here. This is the most important time ever that we are living through. Ever. We are literally on the cusp of heaven on earth through a new system of transparency and exposing. And I say to these people again, if you're not going to stop this and you're not going to come out with the truth, please end your lives. All right? There's a video, and I'll mention it again, very critical video, I believe, that was a lady in Australia claiming to be from a Mason family. And yes, women can be Masons. Okay, some people have said, well, you can't have female Masons. Yes, you can. Okay, it's only been in the last few years, I believe, that they've been able to be Masons. But she says, you need to remove our control over you. She says this. She says, we use three main organizations in society to control you and to divide you. She says this: the law, the financial sector, and media. And she says that they cause the world's problems. Now, she doesn't say the world. She talks about more specific. She talks about the crime, paedophilia. She mentions the paedophilia. She says they then make the innocents believe that that problem is happening, but it's them doing it so that they then can take more money, basically, and make them believe that they need the lawyers, they need the solicitors, they need the police, as they are, because of the crimes that the police and the solicitors are actually committing against creation, against humanity. And she says they can't stop what they're doing. Well, take your lives then. If you can't stop what you're doing, take your lives. Please take your lives so that we can save the children and save creation, right? Do it. If you can't come out with the truth, do it. Okay? I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to be harmed. I don't want you to suffer. However, you're suffering anyway because you're stuck in this realm of apparently you can't speak about what you've been doing. Apparently you can't stop what the plans are, you can't stop what you're doing. Well, take your lives then, all right? This cannot be allowed to proceed. This cannot be allowed to proceed. She talks about the key is for the innocents to take back the media, because that is their main weapon, is the control of the information, and it absolutely is. All right, through the media they control the narrative, and she says the narrative is what's important to them. The narrative, the agenda, is controlled via mainly the information. Okay, so how we do that, I would advise, my strategy is, you first of all, you arrest the solicitors through citizens' arrests. You give the frontline police a chance. I was an innocent frontline police officer. That means there may be a lot of innocent frontline police officers. They have that ability to decide to make that arrest. They only have to have reasonable grounds to suspect an offence. And if you're there presenting the evidence and saying, look, we've got crimes against children, you're even seeing it, officer. You're seeing it on the news with the Jeffrey Epstein files. Here's your chance to do the right thing. Give them the chance. It will only take some arrests. It won't take long at all, okay, for this to trigger a change on Earth. Even if they don't arrest them, the exposure of you trying to do those arrests will create a ripple through the system, through the legal system. You'll get solicitors not wanting to work at solicitors. One thing people could be doing, actually, which I've thought about doing, is send my document to all of the solicitors. Okay, that's one thing you could all be doing. Look up all of the solicitors in your area and send them my document, okay, to let them know they are fully exposed. They are all centralised to the Temple Bar, to the blood of the children and the paedophile information exchange. All right, this is why I'm saying the solicitors need to be arrested first, because it will create that breakdown in the system and not have a detrimental effect on society immediately by arresting those solicitors. Dairy causes less dense and weaker bones, having to grow over size to compensate for the lacking in structural strength. Thank you. Anyone see this text from me? Yes, I can see that. ISRM. Somebody, I'm sure other people have responded. You stay safe, Gary, out of sight. Thanks, Derek, but at the moment nobody else is doing anything. Nobody else. I haven't got anyone doing arrests, so I'm thinking very carefully about what I do, about how I proceed with this. God's got you, Gary. He's got us all. Look, you can't sit back and do nothing with this. You can't be sitting back saying Jesus will save you, God will save you. God's a mockery of the name anyway. I believe that somebody said it, and I keep slipping up and saying it anyway. But I always say created, because I think God was put there as gold, oil, and drugs. I mean, there's so many different deceptions and mockeries in all of this by these people. But you can't be sitting back, okay? You have a moral conscience given to you by creation. If you don't believe in a creator, it came to you via your creation, okay? However you believe that happened, use that moral conscience. That's you being told by the creator, this is what you need to do. You need to intervene, because it's the only right thing for you to do. And if you don't intervene, you're not doing the right thing. You're doing the wrong thing, and therefore be prepared to face the consequences, everybody. Anyone that is not doing anything with this, prepare to face judgment. And I believe everyone that puts their head down and says, wait for someone else to come along and deal with this, wait for Jesus, wait for the creator, I believe they're all going to be potentially, could be judged in what's coming, in some sort of an event. Now, I don't know, that could be them. It looks like it could be the people at the head of this that are going to be behind that event as potentially a judgment against you if you don't do the right thing. This is why it's so critical that literally you all do something. You follow the strategy, right? You've got nothing really to lose, according to the evidence, to do it. Source will give you the guidance as and when it's needed, and not before. Gary, what if real life is a dream and when we die, real life begins? Well, that doesn't really fit everything in my mind. I think the matrix that they've talked about is what I'm exposing. The inversion of the system, a completely criminal, illegal system. It's an illusion of a system. It doesn't actually exist because they've contradicted their own laws in creating it. So it's criminal. I mean, you could be right, I don't know, but it feels that this is reality we're in. I absolutely believe there's something after death. I know that our dreams are important because of the information that has come via my research from the dreams, but I don't believe, based on my evidence, that we're living in a dream. Take children out of schools. Yeah, I absolutely believe you should be, especially now. I've got this evidence now about the blood, because that then ties in with the planned lockdowns in the schools. We were being led to believe it was about an attack from the faith groups. Okay, I believe it's because of this. It'll be a collaborative taking of those children for their blood, I suspect, based on the evidence that I've got. Gary, can you see this text? Yes, I can, ISRM. Gary, you get any fear? Gary, if you get any fear, me and Karen or Lisa and Andy will come and get you. You have my number. Make sure it is saved in your phone. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Interesting times. Yeah, it certainly is. With these evil monsters. Now, I think it's a lack of faith. I think they are so scared of death. Obviously, it is evil in our minds because we have a moral conscience, and we're actually more free than they are, because they are constricted. It's ironic, really, because they've got all the money, and most of us are less fortunate in terms of finances and materialism, but not that we should be materialistic in any way. And it's incredible when you minimize your life how free you become. However, we are actually more spiritually connected through this than they are, because they are they've got everything in terms of finances and materialism, but it hasn't brought them any closer to the Creator. It's taken them further away from the Creator and further away from moral conscience, and therefore more fear of death, and therefore wanting to live longer. See, this all when you think about this and you look at these different, it all seems to then fit in, doesn't it, with this, and how the fear of death is so important in this. And the fear of death comes with the more comfortable you become sometimes as well. Sometimes it comes with these people, you know, they've had so much money for so long, as I've said, they've become so comfortable that they have no out of comfort zone experiences, which brings you back to appreciation for life and back to the Creator again, and having appreciation for nature. And, you know, just an example, I love swimming in and going under waterfalls and swimming in natural water, even though it's really, really cold and I'm coming out of my comfort zone. And then when I go back into somewhere where I'm warm, it's lovely, isn't it? And you really appreciate it even more. And, you know, when you have a few days of over cloudiness or rain, and then suddenly you have a sunny day, you just feel amazing, don't you? You just feel amazing that you've suddenly got this turned sort of event in your life, as small as it is in terms of, you know, on a day-to-day basis. We then really appreciate it. Well, these people have had luxury continuously, so they've lost the value in nature. They've lost the moral conscience connection, that connection to the Creator, because of the greed, because of them having this fear which is built up over time, which I think is leading to this experimentation and tying in with the MK Ultra program. I believe the blood experimentation has been running alongside the mind control programs, and they've probably been experimenting on the animals for this reason. How can they use the blood from the animals in the transfusions of humans and make that blood so it doesn't kill humans straight away, so it doesn't arouse suspicion? You know, there's probably a big element of the experimentation through the MK Ultra and Tavistock Institute and stuff in relation to that as well. Media, law and finance, yeah, they're the main three things that they use in their weapons against us. controlling the information is the most important. And when you look back at the Reformation, you know, as I've said, you had the German company Gutenberg's was involved and started to create the control of the information, and how that linked in with the Vatican. And that was as governments were forming, government meaning mind control. So you can see how this all relates. And of course, Germany becomes very, very important. The Church of Satan, I believe they actually don't believe in anything, and they're so scared. This connection to the Satan side of things, I believe they've created that to make us believe that what the people at the top of this may do is Satan. I mean, it may be Satan, but the evidence suggests that they infiltrated the Church of Satan to make it fit the falsified prophecies more with the Abrahamic faiths in all of this. I'm going to have to go soon. My hands are numb. It's about getting info out, Gary, is in written format. Info out so it's printed like John's from the 80s. Maybe so people in 50 years reading it will have dots to connect to become aware. Yeah, and that's why I've done the document. Now, it could be better. I've done my best. That's all I can do. But that document, I believe, is the most important document on earth. Even with all of its, as I said, mistakes that I've made, errors in it, or you know, typos, because it does give you the answers to pretty much everything that's going on, and it provides the evidence at the moment, whilst we can still click on links, which of course links potentially into, are they going to create some sort of blackout situation for us soon? I don't know. I mean, I've been hearing months that they're going to be doing it, but a blackout to fit the 3 days of darkness. Female Masons are called Eastern Stars. Ah, yes, thank you. I forgot that. I had heard that. Thank you very much. Yes, we are all duped and deceived. Tavistock Institute. Yeah, 100%. Even the people that are involved in the blood of the children are going to be being deceived. Think about it, okay? They're all trying to live as long as they can. They're feeding a system that's actually going to create the end of all of creation. So what they're doing is completely irrelevant anyway, with according to all of my research. So they're all being duped. Hi, Air Force. Hope you're doing well. Same as Dunblane, one woman recently interviewed was there and said all she remembers is smoke filling the room, no shooting or loud noises. I think this was a cover to remove the children. Yeah, I mean, it would make absolute sense. I've researched the headmaster. I've researched the deputy headmaster, headmistress, I believe, connected into this. Okay, the evidence of Dunblane is massive in my document. It's really, really big. I've done the police, the person oversaw the inquiry links into the blood of the children. Who else have I done? Andrew Murray, massive connection via Andrew Murray's family. He links very quickly. In fact, it's almost immediately to Satanic Temple United Kingdom via Andrew Murray. He was supposedly a survivor in that supposed shooting. No. I suspect he was there when they were taking the children. And this is why he couldn't talk about it in an interview that he did. If you research him, he wouldn't actually talk about it. He wouldn't actually talk about what happened. His family are massively connected into this. In modern times, this is correct, but ask yourself what we did in 1245. Who's up for helping with Gary's strategy? Yeah, it's what you need to do, everyone. It really is. Where's the document? Okay, so you need to send me an email. They're hacking my public document file links. However, I will try and do another one soon because somebody has suggested I do. But the trouble is I won't know that you're getting the document on the other end. So they could put something else in that link. I wouldn't know. Think that I'm sending you the document. Remember, because this is centralized world crime. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to know that you're getting the document. So I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. I think, and it's possible these people were sent to tell me to do a link because they know they're in trouble from me sending the raw document. So get a pen quickly, and I'll give you my email addresses again. I gave them at the beginning. Please don't tell people to take their lives. You should know. unfortunately, look, if we are facing an end of creation situation and they're going to carry on sacrificing and killing babies and children, they need to end their lives if they're not going to come out and stop this. All right. If they're going to carry on, they're not going to speak the truth. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, my priority is saving the children and saving creation. They're going to die anyway, okay, if they carry on, according to my research. So I understand what you're saying. I understand it's sensitive. I'm talking about not those that are depressed and not part of this. I'm talking about those that are central to this criminal network in place, causing the suffering of the children. The Freemasons are massively part of this, all right, massively, with their secret blood oath society connection. I believe the secret is the money laundering system and how it was tied to the blood of the children and them extending life, I believe. So anyone that is not part of this, obviously do not take your life. Obviously do not take your life. We need you. But those that are central to this, if you're not going to help stop this and you're going to carry on trying to end creation, taking the lives of children, take your lives instead, please. And I'm sorry, even the creator will not, well, maybe I'll be judged for saying that, but that's a risk I'm going to have to take in this, okay? That's a risk I'm going to have to take because we've got to stop this somehow. So my email address is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. I can't post my email. My fingers are too numb. I can't type on the phone at the moment. My email address is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com with one R, Gary. So that's GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. The Proton one is Gary Time for Freedom with the word for, F-O-R, one R in Gary. So that's Gary Time for Freedom @proton.me. Someone's put, saw my mum the other day and the stuff she convinced all the crap on TV. Yeah, it's complete lies on there. You can't trust it at all. I've done research in relation to television, and you'll see even that becomes critical, and it links back in with the bloodstock trade and the blood of the children. Yeah, you do need to get the document everywhere. You need to get the document absolutely everywhere you can. Teddy Tarts just put, just to be clear, I'm not really a tart. I do post the email, but YouTube remove it. Oh, right, Vanessa. They're removing my email, are they, from the comments? Okay, that's interesting when you're putting it. Thank you. Tortured my feet to adrenalize my body. Good evening, Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. Someone's put, I might have missed something. Do you believe in Christ? I believe Christ was a real person. Do I believe that was his real name? Probably not. No, and a lot of people are telling me it wasn't. Do I believe that he was sacrificed? I don't know. I don't know. We've got deceivers running the world that control all publishing, all information. So we've got to consider that the scripture has been infiltrated. Do I believe in the Christian general foundation of love thy neighbor? 100%. I think that is the most important thing in all of this, really. If you were going to, look, if we were to go by one law, love thy neighbor. In other words, treat everyone how you want to be treated in a rational state of mind. No matter what part of faith you are, no matter what skin color you are, no matter what culture you are, generally, none of you want to be punched in the face or harmed. So you don't harm anyone else in a rational state of mind. The irrationality is what brings that action. Most of you will not want to be stolen from, so you don't generally steal from anybody else. Most of you do not want to have your children harmed, so you don't harm anyone else's children. That is the basis, as far as I'm aware, of Christianity. Now, they have absolutely infiltrated Christianity and they're making it look as though Christianity, Judaism, and the Muslim faith are bad, if you like, and have an element in all of this, when the truth is they have infiltrated all three faith groups. And you really need to understand and be aware of the Albert Pike letter written to Mazzini in 1871. That is what this is massively about, okay? The 3 World War deception, and it talks about the destroying Christianity, destroying the Muslim faith, destroying atheism, and bringing about the light of Lucifer, probably to allow the normality of the blood of the children. Even those involved in that will not potentially know about the ultimate agenda of the end of creation, according to all of my research. Again, I have to consider that everything is an ultimate deception to bring the right person or people forward to do something. But based on the evidence, I have to say I believe that this threat is real. I believe the children are being used for their blood, and I believe that you need to turn this around through my strategy and through that evidence. Gary, I think the most important thing you should do is stay safe and get as much research out as possible. That is the mission. Thanks, Faith Defender. Yeah, that's I was going to stop doing the research for a while, but I've actually just carried on, not quite to the extent I was. But yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right that is my role in this, is to get the evidence, and then when enough people start doing the right thing, I can then, become involved in what the new system would look like, how it protects children, a safeguarded system. That's what I used to do in the police. I used to assess the threat of risk and harm and safeguard the situation that I was dealing with at the time. It's got to the point now where the tubers are at war with each other, and it's pure evil from some of them. The ones fighting for the word are being persecuted. It's so bloody frustrating. It is, and don't forget, they've positioned people across the social media platforms that are part of this, all right? That's been part of their plan. That's, all social media platforms are linked to the centralized criminal network, and therefore the blood of the children. Now, these people that have been positioned won't know about the ultimate agenda. Many of them won't know about the blood of the children in this, but they will have been promised some sort of financial rewards, or they're addicted to some sort of drugs, or they are compromised by the sex and the children somehow in this, potentially. There's so many ways that this system has compromised people in this. I'm not compromised by any of it. Now, I believe most of you on here hopefully are not compromised by any of that. They've drawn people in through the temptation of sin. It's escalated into very sinister activity. So many people are compromised by this. I've been doing something, Gary, putting the evils on notice. When I'm home, I'm going to the Mason Lodge in Dover. Amazing, Vanessa, amazing. Thank you so much. That's incredible. That'll be brilliant. I'll obviously record it all, try and get it online and secure that video that you do as well. Gary, can you read it out again, please? Which bit did you want me to read? Sorry, you haven't put what bit, because there's a delay in me seeing the comments, you see. I presume, are you talking about the Albert Pike document? I presume you're talking about that. I'm going to read it to you, because it is critical, everybody, in this. And the evidence through Company's House supports that it was real. 1871, written by Albert Pike to Mazzini of the Vatican. I'm just going to read this and I'm going to go because I'm so cold. I'm sorry, I would stay on longer, but I'm literally so cold in this. I'm just going to put the phone down for a second so I can find it on the document. Hold on a sec. Oh my goodness, my toes are freezing. Where would I find it? The word turmoil is in it, so I think that should bring it up. Yeah, here it is. That's good. I brought it straight up in my document. Okay, I'll read you the Albert Pike letter. The following is a letter that speculation claimed that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871. This is the year after the information says that the Vatican was taken over involving the Freemasons, okay, and they took it over and imprisoned the popes in 1870. Now that's obviously 1844 is when Company's House began, okay, so it all links in to the Nazi regime deception as well, because you had the Siemens Company, which is linked to the Nazi regime, was originally founded in 1847, 3 years after Company's House. That timing is very relevant. Anyway, yeah, let me read what it says when I can just lock my phone again. Oh my goodness, I'm so cold. I'm going to have to go after this. because where I am at the moment, I don't really want to do their videos in there. Right. So the following letter the following is a letter that speculation claimed that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned in an attempt to take over the world. So a lot of people will believe that this is the ultimate agenda, is to take over the world. I believe there's a hidden agenda in relation to the creation by a very, very small number of people, based on my evidence, as the ultimate deception against all of creation. The Pike letter to Mazzini was on display in the British Museum Library in London until 1977. It was then removed, and that was the year I was born. That's probably not going to be a coincidence, okay? And the British Museum denied all knowledge of it. The British Museum companies feature at critical parts throughout my document and how that relates into me as well, including into the blood of the children research and into Jeffrey Epstein. Mazzini. Now, Jeffrey Epstein would have just been a pawn in this, okay? He will be a puppet. There's people behind all of this that we're not seeing, absolutely. Mazzini was an Italian revolutionary leader in the mid-1800s, as well as the director of the Illuminati. The Illuminati is linked to the Vatican. Pike is a historic Masonic figure, was a 33rd degree Freemason, occultist, Grand Master, and creator of the southern jurisdiction of the Masonic Scottish Rite Order. Now, this is where the Reformation began in the 1300s, okay, from Scotland. The Reformation, the formations of the governments, the control of the information. The oldest active Freemason lodge is in Edinburgh, in Scotland. The following are apparent extracts from the letter showing how the 3 world wars have been planned for many generations. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Okay, so they're starting to try and destroy the religions. Well, that removes the moral conscience, doesn't it? Okay, by destroying the religions, you destroy the moral conscience, because the moral conscience was given through a creator. I believe. You may just say through your creation, and that's fine. You don't have to believe. Of course, that's up to you. The Second World War must be fomented, taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when the world would need it, until when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. And I think they waited after the World War II for this fraud to start to be exposed, because this is when I was at Expo Manor, you had the military operation announced by Vladimir Putin in February 2022. As I was asking questions at Expo Manor, they knew this was to start to be exposed. And then, of course, you had 7th October 2023, you had the Israel attacks, which triggered, again, what we're looking at in this document, leading into what's happening with Israel now and leading then into what you're seeing more recently with Iran. It's all connected, everybody. There's loads of evidence in relation to the Iranian conflict deception in my document. The Third World War, which is what we're in now, I believe, must be fomented by taking advantage of the difference caused by the agenter of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, in brackets the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, it's timed out. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Muslim Arabic world and political Zionism, in brackets the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, which is interesting. So they don't want no belief in anything. They want us to believe in something. That appears anyway. So it'll bring about, show clearly the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment, be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render adoration. They will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view. The manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Now, I've found evidence through the Company's House records that supports that that's real. Okay, a Gary Baldwin-Mazzini document that links to the key areas of the fraud, linking to Jimmy Savile, Donald Trump, Madeleine McCann, earthquake companies, the royal family, to my families, all critical. Now, they are possibly trying to use me somehow to fit that agenda within the Albert Pike letter, right? Possibly hoping I would destroy Christianity or assist in destroying Christianity through my evidence. Now, it's clear they positioned people within Christianity that are involved, or they're making us believe they're involved in the crimes against children and the blood of the children. Well, there's going to be no better way to destroy a faith than you get the innocents to believe that that faith is involved in the crimes against the children. They're also trying to get us to believe the same with Judaism, okay? But they've infiltrated Judaism. And I think this explains why then you had the staged Albert, what was it? The rabbi, what was his name? You know who I mean. The rabbi talking about the crimes against the children and putting the remains in the food chain, because that makes us believe it's Judaism that's doing it, okay? I believe this is part of their plan to create a one world religion, one world order under a criminal system and normalize the blood of the children under that one world religion, okay? To then normalize that, and it becomes then, we're not going to survive that if that happens. You know, if everyone starts becoming immortal because of the blood of children, okay, then we won't survive. You won't survive. So, I mean, there's a lot of threats to us in all of this. Artificial intelligence, whether nuclear weapons are real, I don't know. I definitely feel from the evidence that I've got that the collider technology is probably capable of causing earthquakes and possibly much worse, because you've got these articles that are coming out talking about earthquakes involving CERN, and then they bring CERN scientists in to do a seismic activity test and say that everybody, it's not a threat, and they're linked to the fraud, and that links to the World Economic Forum. So yeah, anyway, so that Albert Pike letter, it's within the documents. When you get the document, if you just search the word I just searched was I've forgotten it now, turmoil, because there's not many turmoil words within the document, and you'll be able to then see that Albert Pike section of the document. I've just done the best I can with the document, all right? Some people probably won't like it and will look at the first bit and probably not look at the rest, but all I can do is my best, and I just hope that it makes a difference. That's all. I'm going to go. I'm freezing cold. My fingers and toes are numb. Thank you so much to everybody. I'm sorry I didn't answer any questions. The email address for me is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's Gary with one R, TheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. The Proton one is Gary Time for Freedom @proton.me. That's Gary with one R, timeforfreedom@proton.me. I'll just give it to you again, both of those. Gary, the truth sets us free @gmail.com. That's Gary, the truth sets us free @gmail.com. The other one is Gary, time for freedom, with the word for, @proton.me. That's Gary, time for freedom @proton.me. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to go and get warm. Take care and lots of love. And please don't fear. Please fear not doing the right thing. That's what I would suggest you fear, not doing the right thing in this. But don't let it get you down. As hard as this is to hear and to see what's going on from the evidence and having the proof to support it, think how incredible it is that we're literally on the verge of potentially having heaven on earth, right? Just let that sink in, which means the future generations are going to have an amazing life. Amazing life. It won't necessarily be as easy for us because we're going to go through the transitional period in it. But thanks very much anyway. I could talk all night, but lots of love. Take care and speak soon. All the best. Bye.